Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Slayer back here again with another video, man. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I have over a month of sobriety, and I make these videos not only to help myself stay sober, but also to help you guys out there stay sober as well. It's been a little while, guys. I've just been, taking some time to do some self-care. I've been super busy. I apologize, but I'm glad that I'm back. I've missed you guys. This is like my therapy. I've said it before. These videos really help me just as much as they help you guys. And that's the whole purpose of this channel. So it's a real beautiful thing, and I love you guys. For today's video, I actually kind of got inspired to do this video because of one of Backcountry's videos. If you guys don't know who Backcountry is, go check him out. But he uploaded a video kind of explaining some of the early warning signs of being an alcoholic. And it kind of made me sit back and think of some of my earlier drinking days and certain things that I would do in my earlier drinking days that kind of pointed towards okay, there's a major problem here. And at the time I couldn't see it, but now that, I've been an alcoholic for so long and I've been through so much crap, detoxes, jail, whatever, I mean, all of it, I can definitely look back now and be like, yeah, that wasn't normal. That just was not normal at all. And so I wrote down a list because I thought that maybe it could be helpful to some of you guys, me sharing some of these early signs, because if some of you guys are early into your drinking and you're experiencing some of these things and you're asking yourself, well, am I an alcoholic? Do I have a drinking problem? Well, maybe if you have any of these same things going on, it might be a sign that you do, and maybe you're going to want to cut back and probably completely stop. That's going to be your best choice before you go down a crazy ass road like I did, and then you end up with a bunch of regret, and then you have to pick up the pieces, and it's a whole entire thing that you're gonna have to go through. So just save yourself the trouble. So anyways, man, let's get into this video. The first thing that I wrote was always drinking more than others and not wanting to stop. Every single time back in the day when I'd be drinking with friends, drinking with my brother, drinking with pretty much anybody, man, I would always outdrink everybody that was around me. And I wouldn't, it's like I said, and I would not want to stop. It's like people would be looking at me like, damn, dude, and we'd end up finishing like a 24 pack or, a 36 pack, and people are absolutely wasted, passing out, puking. And there I am standing there asking, when are we going to go get more? You know what I mean? That is not normal. And looking back, I think I even knew at that time that, I would think am I weird or something? Why do I want to keep going? And in those days, you kind of take it as a badge of honor. You kind of it kind of pushes up your pride a little bit of oh, I can outdrink all these people. And it was just stupid, man. It wasn't normal. I would always, enough was never enough. And my friends a lot of the times would be annoyed because they were completely okay with the night being over. And I was never okay with the night being over. I wanted it to keep going. I loved it way too much. I loved getting drunk and all that stuff way more than all my friends did. And I think that everybody being young teenagers likes, they like drinking, but I liked it just a little too much. And I never wanted to stop. Enough is never enough. And the next thing that I put was drinking alone. Drinking alone, man. I remember one of the first times, I think this was the very first time that I ever drank alone. I ended up throwing a party, had a bunch of people over. It was crazy, man. People were drinking cough syrup, smoking weed, getting wasted. But it was kind of funny, man. Some of the people there, though, didn't drink at all. And we had a lot of alcohol at the time. And I remember this one chick brought over, what was it called again? Natural ice. If you guys know what natural ice is, it's the nastiest beer. It's one of the nastiest beers ever made, in my opinion, dude. Even talking about it makes me want to throw up. But this chick brought this over, and since there was other alcohol to drink, nobody gave a crap about that. Why would you pick the garbage when you have the, the cream of the crop over here, like tequila or whatever it was. And so nobody really drank that. So after the party was finished and everybody went on their way, that beer was left behind. And so I took it and I kept it for myself. And of course, I'm not asking anybody to drink it with me. I kept it all for myself. It was a full 24 pack of natural ice, man. And I remember I sat in my room and I was just like, I'm gonna see how many of these that I can chug. And again, why was I doing this all alone in the middle of the night? I don't know. Is this normal? Probably not. But I remember I just started cracking one after the other, after the other, after the other. And I remember I got about like 12 or 13 in. And I opened up the 14th one and I started drinking it and I just puked everywhere. And I was super, super, super sick. And I ended up going to bed that night. And here's another indication of this isn't normal, man. I had some beer left over. You know, I drank like 13 or 14 of them. So when I woke up, I noticed that I had, you know, beer still left over. And I was sick in the morning, so I didn't drink any of it. But that night I started to feel a little bit better. And what did I do? I drank the rest of it all alone. Again, looking back, these are ginormous red flags. Normal people, you know, maybe once in a blue moon, you'll do this. But drinking alone became a normal thing for me. Especially even in the early days when there was parties and stuff going on, I would still get alcohol and go drink all by myself. I enjoyed drinking by myself, and that seems to be something common with alcoholics, is that we are completely okay with not a soul being around us, and that's how I was a lot of the times. I didn't need anybody around me. Of course, I went back and forth. Sometimes you get wasted and you just want to talk somebody's ear off, so I understand that, and I got that way too. But it was also something where it's like, man, I could just kick back, put on my music, listen to a podcast, go for a walk, and just drink by myself and get obliterated and be completely okay with it. I had no problem with it, man. Another incident, and again, this is just my personal, you know, personal things that I noticed with myself. So maybe some of these things not everybody's going to be able to resonate with. And one of the things that I said was, or put down on here, was one of the times, this was like really early on in my drinking, man. It was probably like 4 months before this incident was the very first time that I ever had, you know, had gotten drunk. So this was early on in my drinking. And it was the 4th of July one year. And over at my house, at least back in the day before everybody's alcoholism and drug addiction just got completely out of control, and now basically we don't have any events where there's any drinking at all, there would be ginormous parties, man. Giant parties. Drinking was a common thing. And I'm not just talking about light drinking. I'm talking about people getting absolutely wasted. And it was pretty normal for me and like my cousin or my brother or something to take a couple beers, and nobody really cared. My parents and, you know, my family, they didn't really bat an eye at that. But a couple beers at this time, and keep in mind, I had experienced what it was like to get drunk now. I wanted to get drunk. I didn't want a couple beers. I wanted to get drunk. And I remember the only alcohol that I could get my hands on was these frozen margarita things. And I actually printed out a picture right here to show you guys it. It was these frozen daily margaritas. Oh my God. Even looking at this thing makes me want to throw up. It makes me sick to my stomach to this day. Oh my goodness, man. But my mom had a bunch of those in the freezer, just piles of them in the freezer. And me, just being a moron, really, not knowing any better, not knowing that like how much sugar was in those and how much, you know, alcohol compared to the sugar. I mean, it was just insane. It was way too much sugar. And what I ended up doing was I took a bunch of them the night previous and I put them like in my closet and I had them melt. So I could just open them up and just dump the melted margaritas in a cup and just chug them. Again, this is not normal. Normal people don't do this, man. And I ended up, I couldn't tell you how many I drank, man, but my goodness, I got beyond sick. Horribly sick. I remember I ended up walking up the stairs and I went to my room. I just started throwing up. The entire room was spinning. I felt like I was in a dream. It was the most disgusting drunk that I've ever felt in my entire life. And I mean that. It was the most nasty, foggy drunk I've ever felt. And I remember I walked up there, I went to my room, and I laid down just like, like dying pretty much. And I passed out on the floor, man. And I remember about a couple hours later waking up to my older brother and one of my best friends who was sober at the time, man, who I'd been friends with for most of my life. Just a guy that I didn't want, for him to see me in this state. I wake up to them standing over me, and there's a ginormous pile of vomit, like coming out all over the side of my floor, stuck to my face. And they're like, dude, are you okay? And I kind of like got up and I looked at them. And I remember my friend was like, man, you're lucky that you were laying on your side. And I was. I'm lucky that I didn't puke on my own vomit and kill myself. I really am. Again, not normal. I was pretty young at the time, pretty early on in my drinking, and I'm already laying in my own vomit. That's not normal. And that transitions right into the next thing. Looking up to alcoholics and wanting to be just like them. John Bonham, speaking of puking, and dying from suffocating on your own vomit, that is how John Bonham of Led Zeppelin, he was the drummer of Led Zeppelin, if you guys don't know. I'm a big Led Zeppelin fan, and he died from that. But back in the day, when I first started drinking, man, I knew that he died from that, but I didn't care. I looked up to him anyways. I wanted to be just like him. I'm super into music, man. I'm into instruments. At the time, I was trying to learn how to play the drums, and I was just like, this is the craziness of it. Again, this is not a normal thinking, but to me, I was like, man, this is what I'm going to be, man. I'm just going to be drinking and be drunk all the time. I'm going to be that guy. Like, I idolize just like having a bottle and sitting there and drinking and talking and being that cool guy, that could play music and drink all the time and do crazy stuff and entertain people. And I just completely made this whole entire fantasy world out of my drinking. And I kind of became that, man. I did become that drunk over time. I really did. I ended up completely encapsulating that drunk. It's like I said too, man, at one time I was a pretty fun person to be around when I was drinking until it all turned around on me. But I would, man, I'd idolize people that were just complete alcoholics, people that were drinking all the time. Those were the people that I looked up to. The drug addicts, whoever they were. And again, my brothers, my older brother, he's an alcoholic. My other brother, he has problems with drugs. He's a drug addict. And they both, struggle the same way that I do. And then my younger brother, who's the brother that, ran off with my ex, he doesn't really struggle with drugs or alcohol. But I also looked up to my brothers, man. I looked up to my uncle, and I looked up to my mom, and I looked up to all these people that were drinking around me all the time. And I just fell in love with it. And again, that is not normal. None of my friends the same age as me were falling in love with it or fantasizing about these lives of, like I was. Now, another thing that I put, and I think that this is a huge one, man. Picking the booze over friends and canceling plans if there was no booze or drugs. Man, this one is huge. I actually was talking to my buddy the other day about this, and I said to him, you notice that this, like, when you have a friend group, and before the drugs and the alcohol are introduced into your friend group, it's all about hanging out, man. It's all about going on adventures. It's all about, maybe going and talking to some girls or meeting new people or whatever it is. And the second that the drugs and alcohol enter the friend group, at least for a little bit for everybody, usually not even the people that become addicts, it just completely takes over everything. It's like, it's no longer about hanging out and going on adventures. It's about, hey man, how much alcohol can we get? How much weed can we get? Some people want to do cocaine, whatever they're into, whatever they're trying to do. By the way, guys, I've never done cocaine a day in my life. Just throwing that out there. But whatever the people were wanting to do, at the time, it's like it becomes all about the drugs and alcohol, and it's no longer about just hanging out with your friends. And that's really sad. And I've seen it dozens of times, and even people that, get out of it. But I would 100% do that especially towards the end with a lot of these friends, when a lot of these people started to go off to college and get full-time jobs and stuff. It was like, I wouldn't even be there unless there was, you know, at least weed. If there wasn't even weed, I mean, usually I wanted alcohol. It's like, I'm not even going to show up unless there's alcohol. And again, it completely became, for me especially, it became all about the alcohol, to the point that, again, even the friends that don't care about drinking or smoking, it's like, I couldn't hang out with them. My entire life became about, you know, drinking, and unless I was drunk, I just would not go and hang out with friends. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't. And if I did, I'd be a miserable person. And a lot of my friends completely watched me change. You know, I used to be a really outgoing person, the life of the party. I was kind of the leader of our friend group, to this shell of who I used to be. And my friends watched it. And, you know, that escalated to, we would be out and about and I'd get so wasted, you know, I'd end up making a scene. It just became crazy. What I'm trying to say is that I did not want to do anything unless I was drunk. That's what my life ended up revolving around. There was no more hanging out unless there was alcohol. There just wasn't. Hanging out was not on the table unless there was some liquor on the table as well. And yeah, man, I put loving it, of course, like I said before, just loving it way, way more than everybody else. And believing that it was okay. Believing that my behavior at that time was okay, as I'm crashing cars, as I'm, you know, getting in trouble with the law, as I'm breaking stuff, as I'm, you know, putting my life in danger, as I'm putting other people's lives in danger. It's just absolutely insane. You know, and what I mean by that is people driving with me as I'm absolutely intoxicated, wasted out of my mind. Just the insanity of it, man. And thinking for a long time, believing in my heart that it was okay. This is completely okay. I don't have a problem. You know, they have the problem. I'm just having fun. And it took me pretty much destroying relationships, losing my job, and countless other things to finally wake me up and to start to realize that it's like, hey man, I have a drinking problem. And even after that, years and years have gone by and I'm still working on this drinking problem. So yeah, man, those were some of the early signs. Of course, there's a lot more, but those were just a few that I wanted to share with you guys, that I could remember from back in the day, that I just didn't think, it just wasn't normal, you know. My drinking from the start pretty much was not normal. I never drank normal. It was always, I drank to get drunk. I drank to get wasted, almost pretty much from day one, man. You know, for a little bit in the very, very beginning, yeah, I kind of drank normal, but not really. You know, you guys just heard the story with the frozen margaritas. It's like I really didn't drink normal. It was before, you know, very long that I was in my brother's basement pretty much every single night with him, just getting completely wasted, drinking entire bottles of liquor with him. And that's really what started and catapulted me into my full-blown alcoholism. And yeah, man, it changed my life. So yeah, those were some of the early signs for me, guys. I just wanted to share some of those with you guys. I wanted to get a video out. I missed you guys, like I said. So yeah, man, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope that you could take something from this. The next video that I have planned is going to be super, super good and crazy. I think you guys are really going to enjoy my next video. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, man, drop a comment. I want to hear from you guys, man. I reply to every single comment, because this is, you know, it's like I've said before, man, we are a community. So yeah, drop a comment, man. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. It's beautiful out, absolutely beautiful. And yeah, man, I'll see you guys real soon. Stay safe, stay sober. I love you guys. Peace.